Hey everyone, Selwyn here from Wynn. On today's quick training tip video, I wanted to talk about using supersets as well as giant sets to help minimize time in the gym. So what is a superset and or giant set? Basically, you just string together a bunch of movements. Instead of doing, say, bench press and then having a break and then bench press like your usual sets, you're doing, say, bench press and then dumbbell flies, followed with maybe front raises, followed by, I don't know, pull-ups. So there's 4 exercises consecutively performed, maybe 10 seconds of rest in between, but depending on how you like to set it up, you can either wait a minute after the end of those 4 exercises and then continue it again, or just continually do it till you go through the amount of sets reps you need. The beauty of this is, and why it saves a lot of time, is that if we have 4 exercises that we would normally rest a minute in between, that's 4 minutes of rest in between each set or in between each exercise. Now, when we perform, say, 3 or 4 sets of exercises, that's about 12 minutes worth of rest time. Whereas now, when we group them together in the super or giant set, we're effectively cutting down a bunch of those rest periods. So even if we did rest for a minute at the end of that superset, that's still only 1 minute of rest for 4 exercises. We've saved ourselves 3 minutes of rest time over the course of the workout, which means we can either cut our workout shorter or put more exercises into a given amount of time. So whichever way you want to, however you want to utilize that extra time, go for it. Some ways to think about how to superset and how to giant set is we can either do things like combine similar muscle groups. So with that bench press example, it's chest day or bench press day. We can start off with bench press, a heavy compound movement, follow that with maybe dumbbell press, followed with dumbbell flies, and then maybe push-ups. So each subsequent movement is getting easier in the terms of we don't have to lift as much weight, and it's getting somewhat safer because we're loading less weight over our head. So we start off with really heavy bench press, and then we move on to dumbbell chest press, where we can easily drop that weight without smacking into our faces. Then dumbbell flies, where the weight's even lighter. And then when we're at near exhaustion, we're doing push-ups, and unless you pass out while pushing up, the hardest thing you can do is you're gonna fall on the floor arm's length away, so there's not that much damage there. So that's one way of doing it. We stack same muscle groups or same movement groups. Alternatively, we can do a full body workout in this similar vein. So again, we still want to start off with heavy, moving off to smaller loads because you're still going to be tired by that 4th exercise or whatever it is, even if it is completely different, just because we are taxing the body's energy system. So let's say we start off with some squats, some heavy barbell squats, follow that with maybe some dumbbell shoulder presses. So still somewhat heavy, but not quite as heavy as you could if you're doing just a barbell press. And then you could follow that with maybe some kettlebell swings. So you're in that posterior chain. And then follow that with maybe some barbell rows. So that way we're kind of attacking the entire body in a way that each muscle group hasn't been specifically targeted by the workout, by the movement beforehand. And we still have somewhat fresh energy. The only energy system we're really taxing is our cardiovascular energy system. So by the time we get to those kettlebell swings, we're kind of tired, but kettlebell swings aren't really that physically taxing, they're more cardiovascular taxing. So if we break down whichever movement progression we want to do, from like somewhat complex and heavy to lighter and maybe isolation movements, that kind of progression across there, we can really utilize these supersets to our advantage. And mainly saving time is the reason that I use them a lot. You can use them obviously to pre-fatigue muscles, more advanced training techniques where we're looking at, overloading muscle groups and kind of getting as much out of the muscle as we possibly can in a shorter amount of time. But given time constraints, this is how I like to utilize supersets and giant sets. Hopefully it'll help you kind of, be a bit more time efficient in the gym if that's something you're trying to get to. This has been Sam from Wynn, and remember, a better life through strength.